And we should be honest about what we want, and we should also be willing to, allow nature to sort of take its course, and to sort of, not try to manipulate ourselves into situations that, are sort of unnatural, where we're like, what we're really doing is not really so much having a relationship with a real human being, but working out our own unconscious shit, from our childhood or whatever else. And, you know, the other thing is like, our systems are very porous, and people don't really realize the extent to which, they are subject to the moods and the thoughts and the patterns of the world around us. And so, like, to develop ourselves, we sort of have to recognize, um, what is really going on with myself. Is this my unconscious? Is this the collective unconscious? What am I being motivated by? Am I being motivated by something that is, on the surface says that I want these things, I want X, Y, and Z, but underneath it, there's some like hidden motive that is somewhat contrary to that, and perhaps destructive. Yeah, that is something to consider. But more than that, it's important to go back into our feelings and to learn to sort of be okay with who we are right now. Because right now, the seeds of eternity are sort of in the present moment. So all that you will ever be, all that you all your potential, all of it exists right now. Right now is sort of, it's difficult for the sort of conscious intellectual mind to grasp this concept, because conceptualization is not reality. Reality is, without definition. It is, simply as it is, and as it has always been. And that is sort of what I'm saying here about the present moment. The present moment, within it, it is connected to the future, the past, and all things manifest and unmanifest already exist within the present moment. So, the fundamental truth of what is, it doesn't really change. We sort of believe ourselves to be traveling on this linear path through life, but that is really more a trick of the senses, a trick of the mind. In reality, everything is already sort of in perfect harmony and in perfect order. We're just sort of experiencing it through the eyes of a more narrow, being. For what purpose, I'm not exactly sure. But it does seem to be, something that is the case. And, is there any reason or meaning to it? Well, the meaning and the reason to it are sort of existent in this feeling realm, in this sensing realm, in our senses. Because, the only thing that we can really, truly rely upon is not our conceptual thoughts. It is what we can experience, our direct experience through our senses. And what's interesting about our senses is they're not so much a direct experience of reality as it is physically manifest, but it is picking up information from the environment and then interpreting it into the realm of our senses. But within that experience is perhaps, the true meaning of existence itself, because experience itself is the only thing that really can be said is truly, truly what we can interpret to be reality. So, I know this is a bit confusing, perhaps, for some of you who may have not really thought about this subject before. It is, within our senses that we, that is sort of like who we are, because who we are is experience itself. Intellect sort of is a cold thing that doesn't really have meaning in and of itself. It just sort of exists in a separate sort of point of view that sort of looks and tries to come up with theoretical explanations for reality. So within experience itself is the actual reality, whether or not that is, this projected reality that we see, is it true that I'm looking at this environment? Are these objects real? Are these physical material things real? No, that these are all concept. What is real is the experience of looking at this and seeing it as it is, and what I'm seeing actually. So fundamentally what we're looking at is a reflection of our own consciousness. And so what is the only thing that can really be said to be real? Well, it's experience. It is this consciousness itself. It is sort of like Rene Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. Well, I would put it a little bit differently. I would put it this way. Thinking is not being. I be, therefore I am. I experience, therefore I am. Because thoughts, the I am is not, the I am is an intellectualization. Experience itself is more at the center, at the heart of everything that really exists. So, intellectually, we may understand that, okay, my experiences are data that is being interpreted through my body. But that does not mean that the experience is not real. It means that the interpretation of the experience is not real. The experience itself is real. And that's how we get closer to God, is by paying attention to experience. And how do we do that? Well, we learn to pay attention to it. And when thoughts arise, we go back to the experience. And within the experience, it sort of begins to inform us, how do we want to maneuver through this life? What feels good? What is the correct motion? What is the correct movement within this moment that I have, this brief moment in existence? Because Nietzsche brought up an interesting concept of eternal reoccurrence, and the way he put it is, let's say you had to live the same life over and over and over and over into infinity. Well, that's kind of like the present moment. Present moment is essentially the same thing happening over and over and over and over. But through this intellectual exercise that Nietzsche did, is he said, okay, so let's say you have to keep living the same life over and over and over and over. How would you live your life if you had to live it over and over and over and over? Would you ever again settle for a dull, meaningless existence towards some fictional goal in the future, some artificial idea of success? I think if you really think about it, is if you do have to live this life over and over and over and over, then what's important, what is the most important, is that you create meaning ASAP. Begin to get in touch with your senses right now, because if you have to live this life over and over and over and over for eternity, would you ever want to spend a single moment in your life thinking about the future, thinking about the past, thinking about what could be, thinking about what will be, thinking about this, and that, and thinking about the optimal experience that you could maybe have in the future? Or would you be more inclined to say, okay, shit, I have to do this. If I have to do this moment over and over and over again, and this moment is all I'll really ever have to experience life, then I want to make this moment the best moment. And my advice to you would be, make this moment the best moment by paying attention to what your senses are telling you right now. Because you know planning for the future and all that will happen automatically when you learn to become more aligned with who you are. You will discover the best plan will automatically begin to manifest the more in touch you become with who you really are. So make the unconscious conscious. Don't rely on things that other people told you about yourself and success. Find out for yourself within your senses what is true. Let go of all notions and purely rely on experience. Never settle for any conclusion that anyone else has ever come up with. Instead, experience life right now. So anyhow, this is not really me telling other people how they should live their lives. This is really more me just, again, this is me practicing, expressing my thoughts and putting them out into the universe. And if it is helpful to someone out there, that is more my intention. That is more of an incidental to what my real intention is. My real intention here is simply to feel what I'm feeling and to live the best life that I can right now. So what do I do to live the best life that I can? Well, everything that I just said to you prior. I pay attention to what I feel. And right now, what I feel feels amazing because I'm doing something that is meaningful to me. So, whatever that is that makes you feel something strong in your chest, whether it be being creative, being artistic, being, dancing, making a YouTube video, drawing some beautiful picture, having a marvelous conversation with somebody that you love, getting up, going for a walk, going to the gym, getting exercise, starting a project, and it can even be, something like making money if that's, what you're good at and that's what your heart tells you, do that. Do what it is that makes you feel grateful to be alive. Don't do anything that drains your energy. Just pay attention to, is what you're doing giving you energy, or is it robbing you of energy? If it's robbing you of energy, it's because you're not listening to your senses. You're not listening to the higher self. You're not listening to yourself. You're listening to some other person's voice from the past. You've outsourced your own authority onto somebody else. Don't do that. Don't do it. No matter how scary it is, learn to listen to what comes from in here, So anyway, I feel like, I've achieved part of what I've wanted to achieve today by continuing to practice my speaking skills. And, I hope you guys maybe enjoyed it. I don't know. There's this weird feeling that I feel of love inside myself. And it's like, I love you guys. I don't even know you guys, but there's some of you out there, I don't love perhaps everyone out there, who is, trapped, inside of a robotic sociopathic state of mind. But there's some of you out there that I can feel like my heart is calling out to you guys. And it's those of you who I'm talking to, even if there's only one other person like me out there, but I suspect that there's more. So anyway, to all of you who I feel in my chest that I love, stay true to who you are. And, God and peace be with you. Have a good one.